So our speaker today is Jeanette Johansson-Anmark, a Studio 3 trainer and supervisor in Sweden, and she's going to be speaking today about changing perceptions around so-called challenging behaviour. So thank you so much for joining us today, Jeanette. I'll just hand over to you just now.
Thank you. I don't know. I have to start with that this has been a journey of stress handling for me. I got the questions to do this webinar in the fall, and I was really happy about it. Also, I talk about what an honor. And yesterday I sat here with my head and headache, and I said, how did I end up with this? I'm not going to say yes. I'm going to be a no-sayer from now on. So today we are going to talk about challenging behaviors or behaviors of concern. This is a presentation that I usually do in Swedish. And when I translated it, and also when I practiced it, then I realized that it's going to take more time in English because I have to find the words. And also, I know that there's a lot of Swedish that has connected. I don't have a problem if the English people thinks, okay, she's trying to speak good English. That's good. Her English is okay. But the Swedes, maybe they will say, how bad English is she talking? And I feel myself that it's almost a lot of Swinglish. Jeanette, that's my name, and I'm an educator and supervisor for Studio 3 Sweden. I have over 30 years experience of social work in various forms, and I've been working with people who had increased vulnerabilities and are stress sensitive, but I'm talking about that I'm working with human rights, the right to get a good life, because that's working with human rights. It starts in the small picture. I have a daughter. She's doing her education in human rights, and she's going to work at the UN, paint with big pictures and the big brushes. And I said, no, it starts in the small. Every person's right to have a good life. So I work with human rights. I bet you do too. I'm also an author, and I have translated the books here in English. I don't know why, because they are not out in English. They are only in Swedish, but we have a plan that we are going to translate them and sell them by Studio 3. So I have an own company that calls NPF Specialisterna, and also lagaffektivt.se, that's the webpage of the Swedish Studio 3 Sweden. But we are not here to talk about me. We are here to talk about challenging behaviors. What is it? And what's a behavior problem? For whom is it a challenge, and for whom is it a problem? We never know whom we are going to meet. Every new person we meet, that's going to learn us new things. So we are not able to be experts on other people. We are going to experts on our tools, our toolbox, how to meet other people, how to be curious about other people, how to put yourself in a not knowing position. Because have you met one with autism? Then you met one with autism. It's not the same for every people with that diagnosis. So we meet people in our job or in our lives with vulnerability. And that could show in different kinds of way. It could show by you have the lack of the condition to meet the environment. Maybe you don't understand the bigger picture, or you're lacking flexibility or endurance or lack of impulse control. Maybe you have hard with social situation and you can't handle stress. Maybe it's excess of impression or energy, or deficit on impression and energy. And then maybe you have difficulties with communication. There's a lot of symptoms of these vulnerabilities. It could be that you're in offensive, that you're threatening or become violent to the people around you. Maybe you have sexual behaviors, maybe you self-harm, maybe you insulation, or you become introvert, you have low self-esteem. You could do a long list of this. Emotional difficulties, need to control, compulsive behavior. Yeah, a long list of these. I think that we have to have the same starting point regardless of the vulnerability. We have to have an individual focus because it's not the same for every people we meet. Also, we have to be aware of the support in everyday life. For example, if you work in an accommodation, you have to see how you work 24 hours, 7 days a week. Also, you have to have a low arousal approach to create an environment to develop in, an environment where we prevent challenging behavior, to support a meaningful and good life. This is what I'm going to talk about today. So back to the question, what is a challenging behavior and what is a behavioral problem? For whom is it a challenge and for whom is it a problem? Andy McDonald, the man for Studio 3, he says that it's behaviors that harms, scares, and upset emotions. So challenging behavior or behaviors of concern, I like behaviors of concern because it says something about what we need to do, and we are not putting it on the person himself. So first we have to stop and think about ourselves. So anyone here with the challenging behaviors, we are not going to answer this, but think about yourself and stop for a little while. And if you can't find out any challenging behavior, maybe you should think about, so if you have children, what would your children say? I promise you, my children will do long list about my challenging behaviors. If you don't have children, what would your parents say? Or what would your partner say? Yeah. So maybe you found out some of the behaviors that others think are challenging. That's just what challenging behavior is. It's not so common that we are going around and think, I have a challenging behavior. No, because I always have the best explanation why I'm curious. And my children hated my curiosity. You're so curious. You want to know everything. So that became a challenging behavior for them, not for me, because I found out things that was good for me to know as a parent. So that's challenging behavior. That's behaviors that challenge us. Therefore, the solution lies with us. That's important. So when does it become a problem? I think when it's perceived as a problem. So what do I mean with that? For whom? Yeah, the people who said that this behavior is a problem. For them, it's a problem. It's not the same as if it's a problem for the service user or for the people that we are giving support in different kinds of way. It's usually when we don't have the right methods or the right tools or the right solution, then we call it a problem. So this definition means that we could avoid some feelings of powerlessness. Because when we feel that we are powerless, we started to do the wrong things. Also, it's going to to do bad things with ourselves, because this is the feeling of powerlessness. That's often the emotion who could lead to that we are going to be so stressed that we are not able to think clear and to do the right thing. So challenging behavior, that's behavior that challenges us. So we have to see instead behaviors of concern. And behaviors of concern, that's the main goal, that we have to do something. Therefore, we have to find out what are the causes for these problems or for this behavior. What are the reasons why people doing like people do? What can challenging behavior express? It could express that somebody wants something or doesn't want anything or feels something, or maybe it's an explanation because I don't understand or I can't handle this. But we are just only seeing the behavior. We're going to get behind the behavior. This way of thinking, we are going from, this doesn't sound so good in English as it do in Swedish, because in Sweden we have found out a new word for this. In Swedish we say gå från motstånd till medstånd. This is the translation that Google helped me with. We are going from resistance to support. And it's the same, it means the same, but it doesn't sound so funny as it do in Swedish. So someone's solution could be somebody else's problem. So if we see that a person are doing something that we think it's a problem, and we miss out that maybe this is the person's solution in a very hard situation, then there's maybe we find our solution for this problem. And then our solution maybe becomes a new problem for the person. So we are going from problem to problem to problem. No, we have to go from resistance to support instead. Therefore, we have to start working before it happens. That would be the best thing. We are going to identify warning signs. We have to get to know the people that we work with. We have to have an individual perspective. Maybe here we could get help from relatives or other important persons around this person that we are supporting. Also, we are going to survey or to ask questions about triggers, but also coping strategies. We are going to look at that. So maybe we could ask, what makes you angry, or what makes you stressed? And then the following question should be, what makes you calm again? Sometimes we can't ask those questions to the person that we are support, but we have to put on our very strong glasses just to see what we see. We are going to be detectives in warning signs. Through this, we could interpret and divert or modify earlier, so we prevent the behaviors that we don't want to see or to have. So people that we meet do the most understandable things in every situation. And if we don't understand, we have to be curious. And curiosity, that's mainly the best qualification if we work with people we need. Oh, if we work with people we need, all people having needs. Curiosity, that was good that I was trained in that qualification during my parenthood, because I have used it in my work as well. So in the low arousal approach, we have a way of looking at the people that we meet, and it comes from Ross Green's saying that kids do well if they can. And here in Sweden, we have Bo Helskov-Elvain, he's saying it's not just kids, it's people in general. It's about you and me as well. So people do well if they can. And our mission is to create the best condition possible for the person who we give support to. And behind every behavior, there can be a need. So again, the importance of curiosity. Maybe that would be the most said word during this presentation. We have to be curious. So we use the iceberg metaphor, and if we only observe behaviors that are showed over the surface, the more concrete, then we see behaviors that are clearly visible. Maybe we see outbreak, self-injure behavior, hyperactivity, loudness. Maybe that's just a symptom. We have to seek for the causes. So we have to go under the surface to look for the more abstract. That's harder to see. Maybe we see passivity, silence, withdraw. Here we could also find the more short-term solutions. Maybe we reduce demands, maybe we divert, or so just to handle the situation. But I also think that we have to go down in the deep to see, are there any behind factors? Is it something in the environment that are not good for the person? Is it about lack of social skills? Is it about stress? Is it about perceptual deviation? Is it about, do we have too high demands or do we have too low demands? That's just as bad. Is it about the people's disability? Could it happen to be trauma? More and more we are talking about people with autism and trauma, and we are going to do that more in the future, I guess. Sometimes we think, but that wasn't so serious. How could she get a trauma out of that? But if you have a different kind of thinking and feeling, so what am I to say if this is serious or not? Now, trauma and autism, that we are going to talk more about in the future. Here we could find the long-term solutions and to create good conditions for the person we give support. So behind every behavior, there's a need. There could be a need. So maybe we see a person and we think, she's lazy. She can this. She can do this whenever she wants. And maybe in the person's thought, there's a thinking that this situation feels completely new for me. Or maybe I have no energy because I didn't sleep last night. Here is somebody we say, she gets angry at changes. I don't know what to do instead. The person is thinking, or I wasn't prepared for this change. Here's one that's always nagging. I don't know if nagging is the right word in English, but if the person come and ask the same question over and over and over again, and we feel that, stop asking. And maybe we are putting a picture of the food and we say, look at the picture. There, there's the food. I worked with a man who came 10 times a day to ask the staff, what are we going to have to dinner? And finally, the staff put a picture of the dinner, but the man still came. And then the staff started to think about, so is there any other need behind this behavior? And then they realized that this was the man's way of getting contacts with the staff. So the staff, they really felt bad after that because they were pointing at the picture and said, look there you can see what the dinner are. Now when they found out, they could plan in special time for him. And then he stopped coming to ask for what's for dinner. That wasn't really his question. But here's one that's always talk about the same thing. Maybe it's nagging. I have a picture of nagging. Yeah, but I didn't find another word. I don't know the time. What if I miss something? Could be. Here's another one. I don't understand the answer, so I have to ask again and again and again till I understand. So behind every behavior, there is a need. You could do a lot of lists of this. What we see, what we interpret, could there be other needs? He's lazy. Can he start by himself? She wants attention. Does she have the ability to ask for help in an adequate way? What that now is? He doesn't care what we say. Does he have difficulty to understand verbal instruction? She seeks conflicts. Does she have difficulty handling her impulses? He's ill-mannered. Does he have the ability to understand how others perceive him? She's unmotivated. Does she have the ability to plan and organize herself? And at the time when we are thinking she's unmotivated, we have to ask the question so why could we do to help her get motivated if that's so important? That's really our responsibility. Then we also have to talk about our tolerance among those challenging behavior, because our tolerance will affect how we see at things, and we are more or less tolerant for different behaviors or different situation. For example, when the behavior happens, maybe I've been working for 8 hours and I'm just about to go home. I'm tired, then the behavior comes, then I'm going to be less tolerant. Or where the behavior happens, if it happens out in the city with a lot of people around, then I'm going to be less tolerant. Or who has the challenging behavior? This is so forbidden, at least in Sweden, to talk about, because we who works with people, we should love every person. But you know, sometimes we are not really connect with all people we meet. And we have to have a responsibility to find out the solution for that, because people need our support. So therefore, we have to talk about it. What is it that happens in me when this person do like that? Maybe it's with me. I have to find a solution in me. It's not about him have to change or to move, or so I have to talk about it, not being blamed or you're not supposed to feel like that. I have to talk about it, otherwise I will feel bad, and otherwise I'm going to do it like it's not wrong because he's so lazy or whatever I think of him. What expectation we have of the person. If we are feeling that I know that she could do this because she could do it yesterday, then we are going to be less tolerant. How often it happens, the behavior, you know, you could think that if it happens often, maybe you get used to it, so you be more tolerant. Now it's the other way around. The more often it shows, the less tolerant I am. Also, it could shift in the staff group. We could manage and handle different things. We have to talk about that. It's not about somebody being better than the other. It's because that we have different relationship with our super users, and also that we have different strengths. We are good at different things. How we feel ourselves also will affect our tolerance. If I'm on a bad place in life, then that would make me less tolerant. But it doesn't just have to be big things. It also could be like if I didn't sleep so well the night before, or if I was arguing with my kids before I come to work, or with my partner, that would affect me. I have to have the knowledge about that so I could do something about it. Otherwise, it would affect my service users. If I look at the behavior as attentional or not, if I think that you're doing this just to give me a harder time at work, then I'm going to be less tolerant. You're doing this because you have to, you want to do this for me. And this is not going to help me. Also, that's a big demand of those people who we works with. How can they find out if I do this to you, if I do this to you, and how if I do this for you? Also, maybe I should stop and think about, so maybe if it's like that somebody is doing things to me, then maybe I should think about, why are they doing this to me? Because also, again, the solution is with me. So understanding the causes, the reasons, that would make me more tolerant. So the causes and the reasons, they have to be in the focus just to help us. Can stress be a cause of challenging behavior? I think that's one of the biggest cause. Often we talk about that people have to find strategies to dealing with stress. Every people find strategies to dealing with stress. Those strategies that you choose, that's the strategies that works for you, that's are effective for you. Otherwise, you haven't chose them. So often, when you have strategies like walk away to get some peace, ask for help, perform a ritual, listen to music, run, stimming, whatever, we don't think of those behaviors like they need to change, because we don't get affected on them. Then there's other effective strategies for people that maybe the surroundings doesn't feel that these are good way of handling things. Maybe you will refuse to participate. Maybe you will isolate yourself, ignore, accommodate, lie, threaten, fight, scream, self-harm, put yourself on the highway. Those are the behaviors that we are talking about, challenging behavior. It could be a way for the person to handling a situation that you can't handle. It could be a strategy for dealing with stress. We have to understand that if it's like that, we have to offer this person another way to handling the stress, and not have focused only on changing behaviors. That's a really important thing. So if people are fighting when they are stressed, how could we help them to do other things that not affect other people? So that's a really important work. So stress, what causes stress? Yeah, we became stressed for experience situation that we cannot control. We get stress when it's unpredictable. Time could stress us, or when the environment expectation of us not matches our abilities, like me talking to English now. So if we look at stress in people with vulnerabilities, we could see that stress affects in many kinds of ways. It affects the ability to concentrate, to learn things. It affects the impulse control, the problem-solving skills, but also it affects you physical. It could sit in your stomach, or your appetite, or your headache. And the question is, this is for stress with people with vulnerabilities. Is it different with us? Does it look another way? No, it doesn't. This happens to us. We are not making the best solution when we are stressed. We are not making the best decisions when we are stressed. So stress, we have to understand what is stress. We could use stress as a motivator, but sometimes we are talking about, yeah, but positive stress we have to do, that's good for you. There's nothing like positive or negative stress. There's stress, and then it's coping if we could handle the stress. It's often that we are talking about positive stress. Stress, that's a hormonal influence, cortisol. And we have to look at our service user, what stressed them and what do they need when they are stressed. But we have to ask the same question with us. Andy McDonald, he talks a lot about, we have talked about the service user stress, we have talked about the measuring the stress regulation zones, and now it's time to start to talk about our stress, because our stress affects our service users. So what do I need when I'm stressed? How does my body react to stress? Coping strategies, we also have to figure out and help people get, help ourselves get. These are strategies that can help us deal with negative things and emotions. Often, we have our own strategies for dealing with things that happens to us, but we are not always aware of them. So we have to ask those questions to ourselves and to our service user. When do you get angry? How do you deal with your anger, and how do you get calm again? Or when do you get stressed? How do you deal with your stress, and how to calm down again? Very important questions to ourselves, but also to find out for our service users. But if we look at ourselves, having our own strategies has several advantages. I could be a role model, an inspiration for others. I could also get greater chances of keeping calm in conflicts and stressful situations. Also, I get better access to my empathic ability, and also better problem-solving skills. So we have to help coping strategies, but we also have to help with recovery. We also have to think about our own recovery. Often we create recovery for our service users, but there's no recovery that's one size fits all. Do you know that I heard about people running for the recovery? I don't know how that's even possible. For me, it's not running. So the recovery is personal, it's individual, also for our service users. So it's not lying down in the sofa. Could be for someone, but not for everyone. That's important. So think about, how do you recover? How do you charge your batteries? If you work in a environment that's really stressful, you can't think that, okay, so I recover next summer when I'm going to Greece. No, that's too late. You have to recover between working, different working paths, but also if you work in a very stressful situation, you have to find out ways to recover during the time that you're at work. Maybe it's an extra cup of coffee. Maybe it's to get 3 deep breaths. I don't know. You have to find your own ways to recover. Don't wait until next summer. That's too late. So it's challenging behavior communication. Yeah, maybe that's one of the most important as well. So communication, everyone has the right and need to express their needs and their thoughts, and not being able to speak is not the same as having nothing to say. So communication, it's really more than talking. It's also about listening. Hashtag Flip the Narrative is run by a woman called Ellie. She's always also done a webinar here at Studio 3. If you don't follow it, please do. She puts out so much good things that makes you stop and think. When you listen to understand, you start to shift the whole lens. Yeah, so you have to listen as well. Not the most important is not that you're going to say what you need to say. The most important is that you're really listening. Also, beware of sensory overload, because that's also a common cause for the things that we are calling challenging behavior. So there's a lot of causes. I have lifted some of them, and the time is running. So we also have to talk about ourselves. We could be the reason, the cause for challenging behavior or for behaviors of concern. Not that I'm going to work and think, now I'm going to be the cause of challenging behavior. No, maybe it's because I have lack of competence. I miss that somebody hears a need. So unmet need, our stress, I've been already talked about, or our expectation or demands, or that we are not providing for one challenge at a time for our service users. It's demand to demand to demand to demand. So it starts with us. Maybe we are the most common cause to challenging behavior. So back to the question, how we look at humans. People do well if they can. Staff are also people. We have to remind it's not about us being bad persons. It's about us need to learn us more and to be more curious. Back to that. So the low arousal approach, we have to define that. What is it? This is the definition from Bo Helskov. It's an approach to manage challenging behavior. It's about care and respect for the individual. It's about avoiding physical intervention and about reduction of escalation of a conflict or challenging behavior, and to see to my own response and my own behavior. Working with a low arousal approach are going to lead that you learn a lot about yourself. So I think this is a low arousal approach. Often here in Sweden, we are talking about the low arousal, that's it. It's about handling difficult situation or handling challenging behavior. I think the most of the time we are going to put on support in everyday life, the prevention work, not to be the one that throw gasoline on the fire. Here in Sweden, often people are lifting, the low arousal. That means that we are not doing everything. Sometimes I hear that you're doing it because you're fear of conflicts, or it's about demandlessness, or we talk with this soft little voice. No, it's not about that. We don't give up. It's about taking responsibility, the principle of responsibility. And we want to take responsibility because if we take responsibility, we can also influence on what the situations. Here's a pitfall, and that's the feeling of powerlessness. When we sometimes try to get rid of the responsibility, when we are feeling powerlessness, and then we are going to put it on the person that can at least bear it, maybe on the service user or the parents or our managers. That's not the way. We have to keep this responsibility for ourselves. if we are going to describe the person as stubborn, not motivated, demand rejected, defensive, and so on, here we are back at the challenging behavior. We are putting the responsibility on the service user, and that's not where it belongs. It belongs with us. Another principle is the principle of control. Sometimes we meet people who lack self-control, and maybe they act out as a challenging behavior. We have to start with ourselves again. You must have self-control if you are to be able to cooperate. And also, if we have self-control, then we get better relationship and trust for the people who we support. We are part of other people's life. So therefore, we have to ensure that we have the control over ourselves, but also how to help the client or the service user to regain control over themselves. And that's not by us taking control over them. We are going to support them to find their own way to get the control. When people are losing control, it's pretty scary. Therefore, we have different solutions and strategies to maintain control. And then we are back to the challenging behavior again. To refuse, to lie, to run away, to spit, to fight, to threat. Yeah, back to the challenging behavior. So sometimes it's that challenges us the most, that can teach us the most. That's a good thing to have with you. This is a situation for me to learning something in. So when we have those glasses on ourselves, then we are going to find the solutions in other ways. So challenging behaviors or behaviors of concern. What do you choose? So what to do? Yeah, we are going to handle difficult situation, but the biggest job we are going to work with the support in everyday life. So the principle of responsibility, the control principle, the diversions, the requirement adjustment, avoid triggers. We are going to avoid raising effect, aware of effect, contagious, that it's contagious. And then we are going to do some symptomatics at work. Support in everyday life. We could use tools like clarifying pedagogy, whatever. But we have to do it individualized, because we can't have one solution that fits all. We can't have the same strategies. Sometimes we think that we have to do that because otherwise it's not it's not fair if we don't have the same solution for every people. I think it's unfair if we are not individualizing our everyday support. We also have to think about how to manage everyday life for those who we give support. Here's Maslow. So often we are talking about when people are going to manage their behaviors, we are talking about that we are going to build them with self-esteem and everything. So we have to start with the bottom of Maslow's and look if all the physical needs are met. When we have done that, then people feel safe in the environment. When they feel safe, they also could feel belonging with others. Then we could build on the top of this pyramid. But we can't start building in the top because if we don't have the bottom on place. Also, we have to big sense of coherence. The importance for well-being for all of us. This is human needs we are talking about, not just service users' needs. we all have to live in an understandable context with suitable adapted requirements, with the opportunity to influence the situation. So this is something for all of us, as well as PERMA. We are not having the time to talk about PERMA, but PERMA is Martin Seligman's result of studies where he have looked at what he found out in his studies, that there are 5 areas to well-being, and P in PERMA stands for positive emotions, E for engagement, or even better, flow, and R is for relation, the quality of relation, and M stands for meaning in life, and A stands for a compliment. No, now soon it's over. Now I start to talk Swinglish. So PERMA, if you haven't heard about PERMA, please Google it and find out. It's a really good tool. And how to found out how to work with PERMA with our service user, we have to start with ourselves. How is PERMA in my life? And also to finally create a positive culture in the environment. So ask us the question, do we think that our users feeling happiness? But to do that for real, we have to start with ourselves. How about us? How about the staff? Do we seem happy? Because if we have staff who goes to work and feels, oh my God, not another day, then it's going to affect the people we are here for. Really important. So yeah, I said finally, this is also finally, the needs of security and good relationships. We all need that. And sometimes maybe I stick, or yeah, I hurt, but even if I hurt, I could use a hug sometimes. Our own expectation rules. If I go to work and think that this is going to be a really bad day, then it's going to be a really bad day. If I meet the service user and I'm thinking that this is, oh, he's so difficult working with because he's always doing this, then I'm only going to see when he's doing the things that I expecting him to do. So we could change our expectation. Sometimes we have to do a mind change. This is for Swedish. Sometimes we have negative thoughts. Our service users have negative thoughts. Maybe they think this is impossible. This is hard. I'm not good enough. I'm not going to handle this. This is so difficult. It feels meaningless. Here we have to help the people that we are supporting, and also we have to help ourselves and our colleagues to get in touch with the positive thoughts instead, that we are trying. Maybe we get some hope. And sometimes then we could say, okay, so this one worked and this one worked. And then maybe finally I feel that I could use it. That I see possibilities instead. So it's kind of a mind change. Yeah, this is the end, actually. I always end with this picture because I think this is a really important thing of our works, to balance between our heart and our brain. And our brain, this is our knowledge, our thoughts, and our hearts are our feelings, our empathy. So we have to have the balance here, because it's as bad if we go on our brain only, or only on our heart. We have to have the balance to succeed in our work and to feel better.